The initial 5 samurai had gathered many more allies, weathered many raids and attacks. They had even fought mechanical demons. They had proven the strength of their steel and honor, and Lady Sun had favored them with great success. But would their fortune last? Would they prove themselves stronger, or were they only setting up for a great fall? Life in the village carried on, and even when Tommy had a poor mood, things were still good. Things were definitely going very well for our samurai at this point. They had expanded their numbers. They even had a peasant working for them in the fields. They were working to expand their territory, clean out some areas, and prepare for a greater expansion of the village. It's time for them to grow. In fact, they would need a castle. That would be the next major project on their list. Build a major castle and replace a lot of the outdoor defenses with something more sturdy than wooden walls. The wooden walls would serve them well, but it would be time for much better and fire-resistant defenses so people can just burn down and walk right in. But that would come with time. To facilitate this, they moved the prison from the small little hut that they had inside their village to a more fortified structure and cave that they had dug out near the quarry. This will facilitate them allowing their prisoners to work and get some use out of them while they were sitting there eating their food and just wandering around the little tiny hut. So, it was a good move all the way around. It'd take some adjustments, but they would get it done. It was time to go out and raid. This would be how they proved their strength through the Bushido Code. Taiko, Tommy, and Gray arrived at the location, ready to do battle with the local farmers there. They seemed to be pretty well armed, and it wasn't like these farmers were just farming for, because these are enemies of the village, and enemies deserved only one thing: death and battle. So they moved in, stealthily through the trees, taking a position. Once they were close by, Taiko started shooting. Taiko kind of had a pretty itchy trigger finger, so it wasn't like she was trying to hide herself. She was straight in for the kill, which is pretty great. The rest of the farmers tried to move in, but Taiko and Tommy just made short work of them. Only one remained, and this would be an easy target for them to deal with, especially with psychic powers. So Tommy just went ahead and used her psychic shock to disable this final assailant. Actually wasn't too tough, and boom, they were down. Samurai moved in, stripping bodies, taking care of those that were of little use to them. Yeah, it was a grisly task, a little dark, very, very bloody, but this is Rimworld. This is how life on the Rim is. Sometimes you're the victor, and sometimes you're just lying dead on the ground in your own pool of blood, which is not great, but you know, it is what it is. And plus, the village might need some more peasants. And peasants were always a good thing. Well, we actually just needed more peasants in general, as we expanded, and sent more and more samurai into the field. Even though Taiko had taken some light damage, it wasn't actually that bad of a mission. Gray didn't get a whole lot of chance to do anything of value, but she was mainly there just in case anyone got close. And thankfully, our weapons had improved since the last time we've gone out into the field. So, it wouldn't be like she wouldn't get her chance to do battle anyway, but for now, Gray was just happy to be there. She was part of a successful raid so far. And success breeds honor. A successful raid meant that they had proven their strength against their enemies. They had proven themselves under Lady Sun's guidance. And that was all that really mattered. Morality of such things of who was right and wrong was irrelevant. It was their honor to do battle. And they had won. They had proven themselves stronger. If they had been weaker, then they would have lost. It was simple as that. This was the code. This was Bushido, as they understood it. Plus, now they had some extra stuff like beds and all kinds of things like that, so the samurai returned back to the village with Sab as their spoils, or as part of their spoils. He'd work in the mines. Maybe one day he might even pay off his debt and become a full-blown peasant. Doubtful he might ever make a samurai, but strange things have happened. Many of those that stood against him did not always stand as samurai. They've been recruited by the villagers. So there's a possibility if Sav proved himself useful. But for now, he could work in the mines. So, it'd be a good time for him. Once back in the village, the samurai returned to their lives as normal. Gray returned to her love, Resin Crow, and they shared a sweet, intimate moment together. It was beautiful. It was always nice to see love flourish in the village. They were happy together, at least for now. It was a small moment, but an important one for the samurai. For a samurai did not live by honor alone. They still had wants and needs, and it was good to see people getting along so well. And others would be badgered until they could accept the ways of Lady Sun and understand that there was a proper way of doing things. Also, they needed to be worked, because a working prisoner is a happy prisoner. At least that's what the samurai believe, and that's what I like to think. If you're working, you're doing good work for the village, and that's all that really matters, right? Another lightning raid was planned. There was no reason to stay idle, and the samurai would need to keep their skills sharp. They selected 3 of their best and sent them on their way. But, of course, while that's happening, one of our prisoners decided now would be a great time to exercise their, I don't know what they were trying to exercise, but it didn't matter. Gray took them down with extreme prejudice, while Marshall peppered them with arrows. It was a good time. Not for the prisoner, but for our samurai. You gotta keep your skills sharp, even if it is just beating up a defenseless, prisoner. But, these are things you have to do. Sometimes prisoners have to understand that there's a proper way of doing things. They need to know their place. And their place is in the prison, either mining or sleeping. And if you're not sleeping, you're mining. And if you're not mining, you're sleeping. Very simple. Any other activity is forbidden. Forbidden. Don't do it. Yeah, just mine. But, we're not cruel. We didn't execute them or anything. We just, put them back in bed and, try to help them up. Meanwhile, in the raid, once again, Tommy was out there fighting, leading a group consisting of herself, Thorfinn, and good old Coyote. Because even though Coyote might be 14, 15, they were really good with that assault rifle, and they'd be very useful on this mission. So they stood up in the rain, hid behind some rocks, and prepared to ambush these farmers and whoever else was here. Sure, you could say that maybe these farmers would not be the greatest threat, but they still had weapons, and we still had to take them down. So, of course, Coyote unleashed fire, so did Tommy, as they pelted one of the farmers and brought them down fairly quickly. It was actually really easily. So, this was not going to be a very tough fight at all. The next one tried to charge in, but I don't think they were going to get very far. But they were going to try. And yeah, psychic powers are just way powerful. And definitely, it was definitely good that we had Tommy with us. One tried to save one of the compatriots, but they were not going to make it. I think they were a genie, so that's also why they weren't going to get very far. They have a very low tolerance to pain. And they weren't going to get very far at all. So, with our enemies vanquished, we went ahead, claimed everything as ours, and decided to, take what they had, because it was now ours. We had won it through battle, and decided what to do with these people. Some of them might be of use to us. Like this genie right here. They might be of use. Although I think the genie also might have, might not be swayable. I don't remember exactly. But it's possible. Either way, for now, all that mattered is that we had won. Once again. Went ahead and started investigating the rest of the structures. Figured out what they had, which is, not a lot. These people really need to get better stuff. Because I swear, we're coming all the way out here, to do battle with them. And all they're giving us is really crappy things. So, we went ahead and stripped them, took their goods, because, that's what we have to do sometimes. Figure out what we need, and go ahead and get out of here. This is becoming old hat. Not that we should get jaded, because again, a confidence Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. And I do not want to get overconfident, especially in Rimworld. Getting overconfident in Rimworld is an easy way to not make it to the very end. It's very easy for things to go, oh, everything's going great, everything's awesome, everything is fine, and oh my gosh, everything is on fire. And I've had those moments so many times in Rimworld, which is why I love playing this game, because you never know when things are going to go from everything is great to everything is now on fire. But in this case, for right now, I have Thorfinn go ahead and finish off some of these people. We capture some of them. You know, it's not bad. Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. As I said, Rimworld's a tough place. Sometimes you're winning, and sometimes you're losing real bad. The 3 samurai returned back to the village. Thorfinn led them back, made sure that the prisoners were taken care of. We don't want to let the prisoners wander around. You don't want prisoners just wandering around your village unsupervised. So he made sure that they were taken to very lush and good accommodations, including to make sure that we had extra accommodations, which we may have forgotten. We're getting a lot of prisoners now. And although not all the prisoners were going to make it, some of them would beat each other up, some would die in, fruitless rebellions, we were actually had a pretty good amount of prisoners now, which was good. We needed to have them. When they were well enough to work, they worked. And if they proved worthy, then we put them to work as, peasants. Some would call them slaves. We do not call them slaves. They are peasants. And those that were worthy would maybe become samurai. We shall see. But for now, they will work. They will work all day, every day in the quarry until that quarry is dead. And that quarry has a long way to go. So they're going to work for a long time. And maybe one day I'll research stoneworking. I know. This is crazy. We're already in episode 4, and we're quite a few days in. We're probably like around day 40 or 50. I don't know. Why would anyone invent a calendar? We're far in, but it's okay. All I know is that we have a whole lot of time dedicated to this, and we're good. And of course, this is when Rimworld decides to give most of the colonists malaria. Yeah, just about everyone in the colony had malaria at this point. It was bad. It was not good. This was a very bad thing. Most of our main medics had malaria. Our main warriors had malaria. I think, it looks like Nabs, maybe Gray. Yeah, Nabs, Gray, Tycho, and Coyote did not have malaria. Plus our slave. Not slave, I'm sorry, our peasant. Our good old peasant right in the end, the peasant that I don't care to learn his name because he's a peasant. So we're not going to worry about him. But he is a peasant, and he will always be a peasant. So we had to do some quick finesse, getting people switched around in jobs, because we were trying to give everyone as much bed rest as possible, because this was not going to be good. But with more than half the village pretty much on bed rest, a lot of work was not going to get done. There would be food shortage. It was not going to be a good few days as we try to battle our way through all of this malaria. It was not good. But there was one samurai that worked tirelessly. It was Thorfinn. Thorfinn did not rest, even though they should have. Thorfinn should have been resting. They did not, and it was not good. And yeah, that was not good at all. But we persevered, and although it was not great, and I was just like, really, everyone has malaria. Why does everyone have malaria? This isn't good. This isn't good at all. We persevered. We tried to do the best we could with what we had. Like I said, we had to juggle a lot of jobs. A lot of things had to fall to the wayside while we focused on trying to get everyone back to being good. Because this was not going to be a good time for anyone. And it wasn't. It was not good at all. We had some weapons dropped in, I think, but who cares? Weapons aren't going to fix us when we have malaria. If everyone dies of malaria, then there's no samurai. So that was my focus at this time, was to make sure that everyone got through this malaria outbreak relatively unscathed. I can't say that I'm that successful, but we do our best. We're doing our best. And yeah, it's not good. But if there's one thing I could say, Nabs was in great mood. Nabs and Rhea were in great moods, even though they still had malaria. Or actually, Rhea had malaria. Nabs did not have malaria. Nabs was just doing all right, working, having a good time, living life, loving it, loving things. As you can see, we're still dealing with the malaria plague. Some people we were starting to turn the corner on malaria, so that was good. We were starting to get a handle on things. Thorfinn, for whatever reason, would not stay in bed. He always had work to do. He had to do it. He had to do something. We had infections within our prisoners, which is not great. I mean, because I want to recruit some of these prisoners maybe one day. And that guy's a genie. He's smart. I could throw him, just lock him in a room and keep him doing research all day long, forever. Forever. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. We had 2 Imperials show up, which apparently in this world Imperials wear burqas, possibly. So we had Gray go down there to do some trading with them, because I had an idea. If one person with psychic powers is good, 2 people with psychic powers would be even better. And, yeah, we had Gray go ahead and turn over one of our beautiful slaves that we really didn't need, because, I mean, I'm sorry, not slave, prisoner. A prisoner that we didn't really need, and sent them on their way, some gold, and she got herself the title Freeholder. So now we have 2 titles now. And at this point, the malaria plague was actually starting to turn a corner. Most people were either going to get immunity or were going to survive. So I was like, whew, thank goodness. This was great. But of course, while this is happening, Resin Crow and Gray break up. I don't know, maybe the malaria is just too much for them, but they're no longer together. No longer together. Although far more mundane than malaria, we did have a lynx try to hunt some of our people, so our samurai went out and took care of it. Mainly, it looked like it was Gray and Coyote. And that lynx was actually kind of tough. It took a little bit to take down. It was a tough lynx. That lynx was very hungry and very determined, but it was not long for this world. Gray took it down. Coyote shot it a few times. You know, good old Coyote. You can always depend on her to use her rifle to the best of its ability. And that was that. It's not the most exciting battle in the world, but sometimes you have these things that happen. But something less exciting was the fact that Thorfinn was just not doing well. Thorfinn, we had tried everything we could to keep them alive, but I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this. Thorfinn was not doing well. Everyone else had pretty much recovered from malaria, but maybe Thorfinn just sacrificed so much of himself for the village, making sure everything was going on. He just didn't get enough bed rest. I don't know what it was, but he was not doing well. I was doing everything I could to try to keep him alive, but I just think that perhaps it might not be enough this time, but we're hoping that Thorfinn pulls through, because he's a vital member of the colony. Gray came in to check up on him, give him some medicine, and just pray that he pulls through. Give prayers to Lady Sun. Press F in the chat if you can for Thorfinn, because we need Thorfinn to come through. And so we watched, we waited. It was a race between whether his immunity would catch up, which was at 97%, or if he would reach 101%. Because people don't die at 100%, apparently, in Rimworld. If you didn't know this, you only die if you go to 101%. So you can get to 100% and still be alive. But in this case, no. Thorfinn succumbed to malaria. A sad day for the colony. The first death of one of our initial 5 had happened. Thorfinn had been taken into the arms of Lady Sun. He was now at her side. And now we would have to find a new priest to take his place. But the hole that he would leave behind would never be filled. Thorfinn had been among us for a long time. He'd been one of our strongest and most stalwart warriors. He'd been there from the beginning. And now he was gone. The villagers came together and they decide that although she was new to the village, she had proven herself in battle many times, and Taiko would be given the honor of being our newest priest. Our newest, I think it's Neo-Priest, Neo-Shinto, Shinkan, I don't know. It's something like that. I'm just going to call him Priest. She would be the one that would speak for Lady Sun. She would be the one to guide them in these dark times. It would fall to her. And her first duty would be to oversee the funeral of Thorfinn, a great warrior, taken not by the sword, but by the blade of sickness. He did not die at the hands of any man. Perhaps no man could kill Thorfinn. Perhaps he was unkillable. Only the power of disease and malaria could take him down. So struck with sadness, Resident Crow wandered about aimlessly. It was a dark day for the colony. A very dark day, indeed. Yeah, so what can I say? It was a pretty eventful episode, actually. I was very, very, very torn up. Well, I wouldn't say torn up, but I was definitely disappointed by the death of Thorfinn. I really wanted everyone to pull through, but I just could not keep him alive. I tried so hard. He just kept getting up and doing stuff, and I tried to set bed rest as the highest opportunity, but he just, I don't know, maybe he just was dedicated to helping other people. He would always get up to feed people, get up to go do this, get to do that, and it just really slowed down his recovery. And we just could not pull it out in the end. So pour one out for Thorfinn. F's in the chat, F's everywhere for him. But yeah, he'll be missed. I really like this character, and hopefully we'll avenge him. We'll continue in his honor. But dang, that was a hard loss. But we have more tough days ahead. But I'm glad for everyone that's watching. I hope everyone's enjoying this. And if you're interested, there'll be more Rimworld to come. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I know some people have asked where I've got the artwork from. This is all created. Most of it's created in Stable Diffusion or in Midjourney AI. So yeah, see ya. Bye.